Aisha, so what was the reason for this, and how long will the suspension last for?
Well, Jeremy, I was told this morning by the City of Cape Town's JP Smith that there will no longer be any intake of homeless people for the duration of today, in fact, until further notice. And he said that was because several of the homeless people, after being screened, had tested positive for tuberculosis. Now, obviously, these people now have to be isolated and be removed and taken to another facility. And until such time, no more homeless people will be brought to this facility here in Strandfontein, which is at the Strandfontein sports field. As you can see here, the media has also now been blocked from entering the facility. And as I said earlier, we have applied for permission to go onto the premises. We're still waiting for that permission to be granted to us. But in the meantime, Jeremy, we also heard that yesterday afternoon there was an altercation that took place on the premises here, and we heard that some of the homeless people tried to escape, to break out from this facility here. And again, the City of Cape Town in a press release said that there was a misunderstanding with a new group that was brought in yesterday, and they were apparently under the impression that they were just coming here to be tested for COVID-19, and once they had been tested, they thought that they could leave the facility, and when they told that they would not be able to leave, they tried to escape, and they were then apprehended by the law enforcement officers here on the premises. I also spoke to Chris Nissen from the South African Human Rights Commission earlier today, and he said that he had come here to inspect the conditions. He seemed to be fairly okay with what is happening here, although he did say that there were some issues that he wanted to raise with the City of Cape Town and with the Mayor of Cape Town, and these issues relate to social distancing. But I'm also now joined by one of the residents of Strandfontein, Huey Jacobs, who was talking to me earlier about their kind of dissatisfaction about the homeless being moved here without the residents being consulted. Mr. Jacobs, at the same time, you said you're not really upset about the homeless being here because you understand that we are in a state of emergency, as you put it. What problems do you have with the homeless being here?
As I've mentioned, we've got absolutely no issues with the homeless people at all. We understand their plight. They're also human beings. They have their own challenges. Like, we are situated in a global challenge now of looking after ourselves, and so we also do feel their plight and their need. So we've got absolutely no issues against the homeless being here, stationed here. It's just that what upset us most as residents is that we were not consulted as community leaders regarding the decisions that were taken and the large numbers that are of homeless people that are brought in here. We knew that this is a ticking time bomb and it's about to explode, and it started on day 3, which was yesterday, when we had this altercation yesterday afternoon of four of the people escaped, and 3 of them were apprehended, and the other person is still missing. That's what I've heard up until this morning. So our concern here, our biggest concern now is the exit plan that the city has for this ground, so that our community can return to their normal sporting activities. This is the only venue we have in this entire district where there's for recreation purposes. So myself, as being the chairman of the sports facility, of the sports facility management committee, we have to give answers to other various sporting codes and things, and we have little answers other than what we see what's going on here. The amount of money that the city has spent on here, I cannot foresee this being a month matter. We fear that this could go on for much longer.
So is your concern that you will not be able to get the sports field back again after the lockdown period?
Correct. That is our biggest concern, is that our community will not be able to return to the site for obvious reasons, to undergo the recreation and sporting activities, and that's our biggest fear. Apart from that is the risks of contamination. We already, as residents, we already stressed out about the lockdown and the risk of being contaminated at shops, now is the added risk over here. And it's not blaming the homeless people, it's just that the risks are much higher now. So the security measures, that is what we would like, as the security has to be much stricter here to prevent these people from going out, to prevent the risk from being transmitted into the rest of the community.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Back to you, Jeremy.
Aisha, I just want to clear one thing up before we let you go. So the decision has been taken to halt the relocation of the homeless in the city. Do we have an indication then as to what their fate is? Is the city doing anything further for them? And difficult, I imagine, to get an approximation of exactly how many people are involved.
Well, Jeremy, I know that the City of Cape Town officials are in a meeting as we speak to discuss the situation here in Strandfontein. I also had the opportunity to go and speak to some homeless people in Observatory earlier, and they were standing there all packed up waiting for the bus to arrive so that they can hop on the bus and come to this facility. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take for the city to come up with a decision as to whether they're going to be relocating the homeless to another facility, or whether they are merely going to just move the ones that have now been found to be suffering from tuberculosis to another facility in the Western Cape.
And just very quickly, the people that have tested positive for tuberculosis, what is their fate right now?
Well, the ones who have, the ones suffering from TB, I'm told, have now already been isolated, and they will be removed from the Strandfontein facility and be taken to another place.
All right, Aisha Ismail for the moment, live in Strandfontein in Cape Town for ENCA. Thank you very much.